welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica if you haven't seen me before, and this is my channel where I just like to talk about plants and plant related things and sort of take you along with me. Today we are going to open up a new little gift that I bought myself. So I've gotten myself another plant. It is also from Greywood Green again, where I got my variegated philodendron burl marks. And so what I want to do is I want to open this up, show you guys my new exciting plant, and also go over what I do when I bring a new plant home. Firstly, that's why I'm in the lounge, not in the plant room. It's just in case there's any pests or something on this, I like to open it where I have fewer plants. And as you can see, it's so bare over there now because the Christmas tree was up there. Before then I had like a whole plant grow light and plants and stuff, and I just haven't put it all back yet because I quite like where their new homes that I found while I put the Christmas tree up. But yeah, so now we have a big empty void. So this is the box and it's really big, so I'm really excited. It is an Anthurium, which is obviously, you guys know, my goal for this year is to really grow my Anthurium collection. If it is slightly damaged, it's because the box was this way. It literally says this way up and then it's just left like this. It's kind of frustrating that that happens. Maybe I should stand up. Okay. And then they always put it in this little tube, so it probably doesn't really matter too much that it was lying the wrong way. And he's so nice and big. I can literally see him at the top here. So the pot is at the bottom over there, and he's right at the top. I'm sorry, I'm very excited. Okay, so it is obviously an Anthurium, but it isn't. If you guys have been watching some of my more recent videos, I've spoken quite a little bit or quite a lot about getting a regal. It isn't that. I just didn't want to go from 0 to hero all at once. Oh, this is so exciting. Okay, sorry, I'm just getting everything off. So it's packaged really well, again, like it normally is. There's soil going everywhere, but I do think that's because it was lying on its side all day. Just excuse while I cut all the... Okay, so let me show you. So this is its old leaf, which has a little bit of damage. And then there is this new leaf. Look how gorgeous that is. So this is a Anthurium magnificum cross with a regal. So I decided I would get half of my plant wish list plant and see how it goes from there, and I would take it from there. He's so beautiful. How gorgeous. This leaf is just unfurled. You can feel it's so soft still. Look how big they already are. So what I want to do is maybe just talk a little bit about if you are bringing a new plant into your home. So obviously it's a little bit different between, you know, if you're bringing it home from a nursery or if you are buying it online and it's getting delivered to you. But the first thing that I like to do is once I've opened it is generally, I'm going to pop him here so we can just stare at this leaf. But this leaf is poking me in the face, but it's fine, I'll let it. So what I would generally like to do is I'll open it up in an area where there obviously isn't too many plants. Like if you are bringing it home from a nursery, the first thing I would do is you would obviously check plants and the overall condition of the plant, as well as if there's any bugs on it. That exact same step would sort of happen now, but you've already got the plant. So now it's going to be more so that you can prevent pests from spreading if it does have, rather than making sure it doesn't have when you bring it home. I'm just going to give it a really thorough look. Actually looks like it does have scale on this leaf. But only one, which is very interesting. I will see if I can show you. So this little bump, I don't know if my camera will focus enough of that. It actually looks like an adult scale. That is something that you would obviously want to remove. At first I actually thought it was just a little piece of plant that was like lying on it. And I do see something on the very, very back of this leaf, but I'm not sure if it is just a bit of dust. So I don't think that's anything to worry about. Okay, so then what I would do is, now that I've checked to see if there's any pests and there is a little piece of scale, this is something that's very easy to actually get rid of. Scale is very difficult if it is like an outbreak of it, but literally like one scale is probably the easiest thing to get rid of. A lot of the time, like, you have to be careful with soil and scale, because they do lay their eggs in the soil and they'll like climb their way up. I've now seen that it does have some bugs, so now I know that I'm going to be treating it, and but potentially there could be other bugs that I haven't seen or I'm not sure of. So even though, let's say this one had absolutely nothing on that I couldn't see, then I would still quarantine it, and I would still probably do some form of a pest prevention. Definitely think the plant looks nice and happy and healthy regardless. I will start looking at the pot and the roots. If your plant comes obviously bare roots, and if it comes all sphagnum or soil, it's obviously quite a different process depending on the medium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tissue paper off quickly and have a look. On first glance, these roots look a little bit dry at the top, but Anthurium roots are very thick and juicy and voluptuous, so that's not something that's too concerning. And then what I can see is over here, this has fallen off. This was just an old leaf that was cut off, and the leftover bit of the stem, quite strange, it's literally like poofy. Never seen it like that before. Normally it's quite dry by the time I pull them off. Obviously this one's just been recently cut. You'll probably find that they actually cut it off just before they sent it to me. The next thing would be to really sort of check how wet the soil is or how dry the soil is. So this soil is actually not wet at all. It's almost like I was wondering if it was actually a bit dry, but it's definitely not dry and it's definitely not wet. So this is actually quite a nice way to receive your plant. This is something that you would obviously, if you receive your plant not in soil, you would be able to quite easily see what's going on with the roots, if there's any root rot or anything like that. I like to pull off the old leaves sheath that's dried off. I like to just pull this off. One, it is another spot where bugs could be hiding, so I like to pull it off to make sure that there's no mealybugs or anything hiding in there. And two, it's because I'm going to be putting it in a very high humidity environment, and I don't want water potentially getting trapped in there and rotting it. I would rather just play it safe. If this soil, let's say, had come to me and I felt like it was extremely damp, way too damp for what the plant needed, I would just put it in a very warm area, somewhere where evaporation can happen a little bit quicker. Not put it in the sun. It's never a good idea to put your plants in direct sun. You do have a heat mat available. That's also a great way of maybe putting it on the heat mat for a little while, just to help the process of evaporation a little bit quicker. If the soil I felt was extremely dry, potentially very dry for a long time, let's say maybe it had been in shipping for 2 weeks, I would bottom water it, and I would just allow it to soak up a little bit of water rather than giving it a nice good soak, because very dry roots that have been watered excessively can get root rot very quickly. So you want to bottom water it and let it soak up. You can also kind of assess maybe when it was last watered, especially if you bought it online. I bought and paid for this on Sunday, it is now Tuesday. Chances are they probably would have at least watered it on Sunday, but maybe they had watered it on Friday and so they didn't want to water it again on Sunday. So I know that this plant probably hasn't been watered at least for 3 days, which gives me a good sort of indication on when to maybe water it again. But as a good rule of thumb, especially if you're bringing from a garden centre, because garden centres seem to water their plants a lot more frequently, I wouldn't water it for a week unless I feel like it is very dry. Obviously that's a different situation, but generally as a good rule of thumb, to give it a week and let it settle is a better option. The really nice aerial root growing there is this has probably also been in a very high humid environment, and so you'll probably find that these roots on top have dried out quite quickly because they were in such a high humid environment and now they aren't. So this is something that I wouldn't want to water, but I would want to put back into a very high humid environment so that it can get the opportunity to absorb a little bit of moisture just from the air. Then obviously if the roots are in sphagnum moss or if they come bare rooted, the best thing to first do is just to put it in a glass of water. You can have a look at the roots. If you see that there's quite a lot of like root rot, cut all of that off first. You would obviously do that with sterilized scissors or a blade that's also been sterilized, but yeah, you would want to make sure that you cut all of that off before you put it in the water. You could also potentially give it a bit of a hydrogen peroxide dip. That will help kill off anything that might be in there, as well as help with some of the root rot. And then you're going to leave it in water for a few days. It depends on the plant. If you end up cutting off a load of roots, it might need more. You'd want to only pot it into soil or whatever medium you're using when there's a nice, healthy, established root system before you start potting it up. I've got loads of sun coming through my front door now. I ran out of memory, so I literally had to go and move things over and all of that, so it was a bit of a mission. I'm going to clean this guy up. I'm just going to show you how. I'm not going to touch this leaf because it's new. I don't want to be putting anything on it, but I am going to try and remove this one piece of scale. Then I'm going to be putting it in a humidity dome, and then I'm going to be keeping it in my lounge area for a week, and then I'll probably give it another little bug check. I am just going to be using neem oil and some warm water in this bowl. And I'm just going to be wiping the leaf, and I'm putting the tiniest little bit because I don't know how this plant, because I don't have one, is going to react to the neem oil. I do have an Anthurium, so I do feel, well, I have two Anthuriums, so I do feel relatively confident putting it on it. Okay, yeah, definitely scale. Normally remove it with a cotton bud. So where that guy was sucking, I did wipe. We might get a little bit of damage over there just because top was being eaten by something. And I've just thrown the scale into the water so it drowns. And I must admit, the leaves on this are really, really cool. It doesn't feel like my other Anthurium. It feels a little bit like, it feels thicker. I don't own a Magnificum either, so I'm not sure if it feels like a Magnificum's leaf or if it feels like it feels much thicker. So it's definitely got like that velvet feel, but much thicker. Very cool, very different.
Caught up in a daydream, I beat my mind up there almost daily. It's how I pass time, no opinions safely. It's how I understand what I want in this place, see. Cause everybody wanna tell you bad things. What could go wrong? What fame brings but success.
If you do buy a plant online and you're really not happy with the quality for whatever reason, or the condition, or it's really badly damaged or something like that, the best thing to do is to actually just take pictures immediately, like with all the initial packaging on, where you haven't done anything, and sending that to the plant shop that you received it from. And just bear in mind that chances are it's not their fault unless it's very obvious that they did nothing for packaging. But generally, if you're nice to people, they're generally nice back, and they will probably help you find a solution for whatever the issue is. I'm gonna put him in this jar because I don't actually have a prop box tall enough for him, and I'm not actually, he doesn't fit. Oh, that's a bummer. The thing is that I want him to be at high humidity, but I don't want him in the plant room. Maybe what I'm going to do is instead, what I was going to do, and what's quite nice to do if say your plant's smaller, is you could put it in something like this and then put a plastic bag over the top with an elastic band, which is what I was going to do. But I was just going to put a bigger bag over the top of it and fill it up with air. But what I think I might actually do is put somewhere with the humidifier right next to it, so it can just live right by the humidifier. But I'm going to put it in an area in my house that doesn't have any other plants. I'd had a leaf that was very badly damaged, like transit damage, that say had a lot more of that on it. I would not cut that off, I would keep that on. The reason for that is that the plant is still using that leaf. That leaf is still useful for the plant, especially if you say maybe only have two. You most definitely don't want to cut it off. The only thing is it just doesn't look pretty. Other than that, it is perfect for the plant. Geez, we get beautiful afternoon sun coming through, hey? I didn't realize. No wonder my plants are actually happy there. I thought they were too far from the sun, but clearly not. I've never noticed it before. Huh, very nice. So yeah, I would keep that on, and then maybe when you've got 2 or 3 newer leaves, you can cut it off. Let's say this leaf was maybe fully yellowed or starting to yellow off quite a lot, then I would potentially cut it off because the plant's getting rid of it anyway, so there's no point keeping it around. If you do receive it in soil and you've got maybe 4 leaves on the plant and say 3 of them are very yellow and some mushy stems or something like that, then it might not be a bad idea first contacting the seller, potentially wait to hear back from them depending on what you want the outcome to be, or then in that case I would probably unpot it and deal with root rot, because I mean, I think in that instance you kind of know that it's probably got root rot. Whereas with this guy, as much as I immediately want to put it in leca because leca is my life, I'm going to be leaving it for at least a week and then I'll probably move it to leca. I'll give it some time to acclimate a little bit and settle, and I will most certainly actually be waiting for this beautiful leaf to harden off. Probably going to be a little bit longer than a week. I'm going to make sure that that's properly hardened off first before I even convert it to leca. But I am, oh, I just saw another piece of scale. Okay, so here's another little piece of scale, and I mean I had a really good look. So you can see another little scale over there. It's like that little bump. Maybe if I turn it to the side, you can see that little bump. So that is also scale. So I will definitely not be putting this next to any of my plant collection. I'm going to keep it separate for longer than a week now because I do know that this does potentially have eggs in the bottom here. So I'm going to wait for this to harden off. I'm going to wait for it to acclimatize and look good, and then I'm going to convert it to leca. And the whole purpose of it then is, even if I wasn't going to convert to leca, I would unpot this and give it a whole new soil substrate. Very, very important to make sure that you do check for these sorts of things so that you save yourself in the long run, especially if you're lazy like me. I will do a video on me converting this to leca, because if anybody has seen me converting my Anthurium clarinervium to leca, you will know that it wasn't the easiest process. I did struggle a little bit with it, and so it is definitely something that I would like to document again, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more of a smoother process. I do definitely think I know a little bit better now. I'm quite keen to actually see how this one transfers over. The only thing is this is a little bit more of a difficult plant than the clarinervium, so that'll have to play in a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, so I think that's basically all I wanted to sort of mention in this video. It's a nice quick little video, but instead of me just unboxing, I wanted to explain to you guys how I acclimate them into my house, share with you guys what I do when I bring new plants home. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed getting this plant. I'm very excited to show you guys updates on it. I will definitely do that over on my Instagram account, which is @greenfeversa. It's got some under dashes and stuff, so I'll pop it over here, and you can probably follow along a little bit more frequently with that. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please do hit that like button. It really helps. If you enjoyed this kind of content, then please do consider subscribing. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.